ring that controlled the invisible. One ring to bind the unseen. This was not fiction, but the legacy of King Solomon's most mysterious possession. The Seal of Solomon, often described as a magical ring engraved with a divine symbol, is the stuff of ancient legend. But unlike mere jewelry, this ring was said to possess the power to command djinn, spirits, and even demons. It was not simply worn, it was wielded. According to both Jewish and Islamic traditions, the ring was gifted to Solomon by God or an angel. It bore a divine name, possibly the Tetragrammaton, YHWH, and the sacred geometric seal of Solomon. With this ring, he could see into other realms, speak the language of animals, and summon or banish supernatural beings. The most famous tales revolve around Solomon's power over the 72 spirits or demons later catalogued in the Lemegeton. With his ring, he could bind them into servitude, forcing them to build the temple, retrieve hidden knowledge, or perform tasks. But this wasn't done through brute force. The ring acted as a tool of divine authority. It symbolized harmony with cosmic law. The spirits obeyed not because they were overpowered, but because Solomon had aligned himself with a higher order. The ring also allowed Solomon to communicate with beings invisible to ordinary sight. This ability was called second sight, or inner vision. It said the ring opened his third eye, giving him access to hidden realms, what today we might call other dimensions. He could see energies, entities, and structures invisible to the naked eye. One legend tells of Solomon using the ring to trap Asmodeus, a powerful demon, and interrogate him for knowledge of the underworld. Another story describes him sending djinn to the bottom of the sea to retrieve rare stones for the temple. These are not just fantasy. They hint at ancient science, perhaps technologies lost to time. Interestingly, the ring's powers were not permanent. In one tale, a demon steals the ring and throws Solomon into exile, showing that even divine tools require alignment of intent and spirit. Only when Solomon realigned with his purpose did he regain the ring and his throne. Modern occultists see the ring not just as a physical object, but as a symbol of mastery. To wear the Ring of Solomon is to hold dominion over your inner demons and unseen fears. It is the power to rule your invisible world before attempting to influence the outer one. The symbol on the ring, usually a six-pointed star or pentagram, was crucial, but even more important was the understanding behind it. Solomon didn't rely on brute magic. He used wisdom, intention, and divine alignment. His ring was an amplifier, not the source. This is why, even without it, his legend endured. What Solomon teaches us through the ring is this: the unseen is real, and it can be influenced, but only by those who are wise enough to approach it with humility and purpose. The ring was not just metal and magic. It was a reminder that true power comes from inner clarity and spiritual authority. In the end, the Ring of Solomon may be gone, but its symbol lives on, in rituals, legends, and the hearts of seekers who dare to explore the hidden layers of reality. Solomon's Temple, architecture or astral machine. They say Solomon's temple wasn't just built with stones and wood, but with stars, spirits, and sacred geometry. Solomon's temple stands at the crossroads of myth, mystery, and metaphysics. While history tells us it was a monumental structure of worship, esoteric teachings whisper a different story. They say it was a coded machine, a temple not just for God, but for channeling cosmic energy. Let's begin with the layout. Every measurement of Solomon's temple, from the dimensions of the Holy of Holies to the placement of the cherubim, was precise, too precise to be random. Ancient texts suggest that these measurements align with planetary orbits, sacred numbers like pi and phi, and even the human body's proportions. This leads us to an intriguing question. Was the temple mirroring the cosmos and the human soul at the same time? The use of materials in the temple wasn't arbitrary either. Gold, cedar, and precious stones weren't just symbols of wealth. They were energetic conductors. Gold has long been known in esoteric circles to carry spiritual frequency, while cedar was revered for its resistance to decay, symbolizing immortality. These weren't just building supplies. They were elements carefully chosen to create a spiritual battery. Now let's consider the idea of the temple as a portal. The Holy of Holies was only entered once a year by the high priest, who had to purify himself intensely beforehand. Why? Because that room was more than a chamber. It was a cosmic access point. Esoteric traditions claim it was designed as a stargate, a dimensional doorway where the veil between the physical and spiritual realms was thinnest. Inside this chamber, the Ark of the Covenant rested, a mysterious object said to contain the presence of God and act as a communication device between heaven and earth. But the Ark itself may have been more than a religious relic. With its gold plating, acacia wood, and specific design, many researchers liken it to a capacitor, an ancient device that could store and emit energy. Paired with the design of the temple, this could have created an energetic resonance, allowing the high priest not just to worship, but to astral project, receive visions, and manipulate the energetic field of the earth. Solomon's connection with spirits and angels is another key element. According to esoteric lore, Solomon controlled 72 spirits, sealed in brass vessels, each corresponding to a degree of the zodiac. This aligns with the Shem HaMephorash, the 72 names of God in Kabbalah, each a vibrational key. These spirits weren't demons in the modern sense, but archetypes of cosmic forces. By placing their seals within the temple's structure, Solomon effectively created a circuit of celestial power. Then there's the temple's orientation. It was built facing the east, aligned with the rising sun on specific days of the year. This solar alignment isn't just symbolic, it's energetic. Ancient architecture around the world, from the pyramids of Egypt to Stonehenge, used this technique to channel solar energy for spiritual activation. Solomon's temple was no different. It functioned as a solar-lunar calendar, an astronomical observatory, and a spiritual engine. The design also reflects the Tree of Life from Kabbalah. The three main sections of the temple, the outer court, the holy place, and the Holy of Holies, mirror the three pillars of the tree: severity, mercy, and balance. Moving through the temple symbolized ascending through the Sephirot, the spiritual emanations of God, toward divine unity. In this way, entering the temple was not just a ritual, it was a journey of initiation, a symbolic death and rebirth. The temple guided the priest from the material world to the divine realm, step by step, vibration by vibration. We must also consider Solomon himself, not just as a king but as a magus, an adept. He was said to possess a magical ring that could control spirits, inscribed with the seal of Solomon, a symbol of balance between opposites, like heaven and earth, fire and water, spirit and matter. This seal was also embedded in the temple's geometry, enhancing its metaphysical potency. Even the pillars at the entrance, Jachin and Boaz, were more than decorative. In mystical thought, they represented duality, male and female, light and shadow. Passing between them was an act of initiation, like walking between the two trees in Eden, or stepping through the gate of Malkuth into the higher realms of consciousness. So what was Solomon's temple? A mere building? No, it was a hyper-symbolic, multi-dimensional device. It fused heaven with earth, man with God, and matter with spirit. A temple machine designed not just for worship, but for transformation. The cube that held the cosmos. It looked like a box, but it held the secret pattern of the universe. The cube is one of the oldest and most powerful symbols in esotericism. To the untrained eye, it's simple: 6 equal sides, plain and stable. But to mystics, the cube is a map, a condensed form of cosmic truth. And in the case of Solomon, the cube becomes the key to understanding his divine knowledge and architectural genius. Let's start with the most sacred space in Solomon's temple, the Holy of Holies. This chamber was a perfect cube, 20 cubits by 20 cubits by 20 cubits. The cube wasn't just an aesthetic choice. In sacred geometry, the cube represents earth, grounding, and materiality. But when used in the Holy of Holies, it flips the symbol on its head. It becomes the vessel for divine presence within the material world. The cube also connects deeply to the Platonic solids. In Plato's theory, each solid represented one of the elements. The cube stood for earth, but not just dirt and rock structure, law and form. In Solomon's usage, it meant this: The Holy of Holies was the point where divine formlessness met sacred form, God entering the grid of reality. Consider the Kabbalistic implications. In the Tree of Life, the center sephira is Tiferet, beauty, harmony, balance. It acts as a bridge between the upper divine realms and the lower physical world. The cube, with its perfect symmetry, is the visual representation of Tiferet in 3D. By constructing a cubic sanctuary, Solomon encoded the balance of the tree into space. And then there's the number 6. The cube has 6 faces, like the 6 directions in space: up, down, north, south, east, west. But Kabbalistically, the number 6 is associated with the Sephira of Yesod, foundation, the channel that brings divine energy into reality. The cube becomes a symbol of that transmission, a sacred engine of manifestation. Now look at the Ark of the Covenant, which was housed within that cube. The Ark was itself a box, a smaller cube within a larger cube, a fractal of divinity. The outer cube, the Holy of Holies, held the inner cube, the Ark. Just like the universe contains layers of hidden realities, this was no accident. It's the Hermetic principle, as above, so below. Inside the Ark were the tablets of the law, stone slabs engraved with divine words. Stone again connects to the cube. The Word of God was literally embedded in stone, showing how spirit becomes matter. The divine code was downloaded into physical form, then placed inside a cube, in another cube, like a cosmic computer, a container of consciousness. But Solomon didn't stop there. Esoteric interpretations say the cube wasn't static. In meditative practices, mystics have described the cube unfolding into a cross, a symbol of expansion and incarnation. When unfolded, the 6 sides of a cube become a cross shape, representing the descent of spirit into the 4 directions of the material world. Was this part of the temple's secret function, to unfold divine potential into the realm of man? And what about modern science? In physics and math, the cube represents stability in 3D space. In string theory, extra dimensions are often folded into compact shapes, sometimes visualized as cubes or hypercubes. Could Solomon have tapped into an intuitive form of multi-dimensional understanding? Even in meditation, the cube is powerful. In some traditions, visualizing a cube around the body is a way to create a psychic shield. In others, it represents the body itself, with the 4 base corners as limbs and the top bottom as crown and root. In this way, the temple and the human body mirror each other. We are walking temples, living cubes, through which divinity flows. The cube also speaks to the idea of containment. A cube holds space. It makes a sacred boundary between the profane and the holy. The Holy of Holies wasn't just a cube. It was the only cube in the temple, a geometric anomaly, making it a mystical black box of energy and consciousness. The ancients believed that inside that cube, the laws of reality could bend, shift, and reveal deeper truths. When Solomon built the temple, he wasn't just making a house for worship. He was creating a structure that harmonized with the very bones of reality. The cube wasn't a container, it was a doorway. Why Kabbalists say Solomon built a living map of the universe. It wasn't just a temple, it was a breathing diagram of all creation. To truly grasp why Kabbalists view Solomon's temple as a living map of the universe, we must enter the world of sacred symbolism. The temple wasn't built randomly. It was constructed with layers upon layers of meaning. Each measurement, material, and direction encoded celestial truths. In Kabbalistic thought, the universe is structured through the Tree of Life, 10 sephirot, connected by 22 paths. These sephirot are divine emanations, like nodes of God's energy flowing into creation. Now here's where it gets profound. Solomon's temple mirrors this tree. The 3 sections of the temple, the outer court, the holy place, and the Holy of Holies, align with the 3 pillars of the tree: severity, mercy, and balance. Entering the temple was like ascending the Tree of Life, moving from the world of action Asaya toward the world of divine essence, Atziluth. The priests weren't just performing rituals, they were enacting cosmic alignment. Even the garments worn by the high priest echoed the Sephirot. The breastplate held 12 stones, representing the tribes of Israel. but also the zodiac, the 12-fold division of the heavens, the ephod, the bells, the colors. They were all layered symbols. Walking into the temple dressed like this was like stepping into a living tarot deck, with every symbol a key to the divine pattern. Then there's the Ark, resting in the Holy of Holies. It represented Keter, the crown, the purest point of divinity. The mercy seat on top symbolized the place beyond form, where opposites unite. The two cherubim with wings touching created a visual representation of unity, male and female left and right, forming the gateway of infinite oneness. The layout of the temple grounds even mimicked the cosmos. According to ancient Jewish sources, the entrance was to the east, the direction of the rising sun, because the light of creation enters from there. The inner sanctuary pointed west, where the sun sets, representing the hidden, the unknowable. Movement through the temple was a microcosmic journey of the soul through the cosmos. Let's not forget the significance of numbers. The temple's dimensions are full of sacred numerology. The number 3, sections, 7 candles of the menorah, 12 tribes, months, constellations, and 10 commandments, Sephiro, appear repeatedly. The temple wasn't just a structure, it was a number-coded matrix. The menorah itself, placed in the holy place, symbolized the tree of life and the branching of divine wisdom. Each branch could represent a Sephora, and its central stem Tiferet, the heart of balance. Lighting the menorah wasn't just illumination, it was activating a cosmic diagram. Even the temple sounds were sacred. The bells on the high priest's robe, the singing of the Levites, the specific instruments, all vibrated at frequencies designed to resonate with the divine structure of the universe. Sound was not entertainment, it was invocation. Kabbalists teach that Solomon understood how to bring heaven to earth. He wasn't building a static temple, he was mapping the celestial onto the physical. Each act within the temple was a reenactment of the creation of the world. Every piece of architecture, color, sound, and symbol reflected a layer of existence. To walk into Solomon's temple was to enter a hologram of the universe. The most powerful idea, though, is this: the temple wasn't meant to last in stone. Its true form was energetic. When it was destroyed, the map didn't vanish. It went inward. The Kabbalists say the true temple now lives within us. The tree of life is in our soul. The cube is our heart. The divine sparks still flicker in our thoughts and dreams. Solomon built a living map of the universe, but we are the ones meant to read it.